The Radium Podcast, episode 27. We're back.
Another one.
We got Kevin Beggs in the house.
I'm here.
And special guest today, Margie Plus.
What's up, guys? Margie Plus in the building.
Clap, clap, clap.
Yay.
Ooh,
Give it
I
up.
get claps on this.
Yeah,
How
I know.
chic.
We got the claps coming. Villain music also in the house.
Super villain.
Super villain.
Yeah.
So, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and let our listeners know who they're hearing right now.
Oh, I am the fabulous Miss Margie Plus. I am an artist. My album came out about 5 months ago with Paper Magazine, produced by my lovely husband, Mr. Super Villain. Music on a track, honey.
What?
Shouts.
So I'm a singer. I am a style writer. I do fashion. I just slay pretty much every day.
That's what's up.
And I get to write and produce all my music with my man. So
That's dope. I love
Yeah.
that idea. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just basically trying to be just like a plus size like pop star, superstar, like busting through.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's
Super
dope.
sick. So how'd you get started in the music thing?
Well, I've always been singing since I was like super young. My mom has videos of me like putting on her bra, which is like 10 times too big, and like putting a little ponytail and me being like, holiday, celebrate. And she's like, Margie, like we're trying to have dinner. Like, could you stop putting on my bras? Like
You're
you're
grounded.
4. Yeah, like please go back in your room. So I just have always remembered performing. Like that's where I found life and singing and, high school and stuff. But then when I went, I'm a big bitch. So growing up in high school, I wanted to be Britney Spears. I wanted to be this pop star girl, like busting through the scene. But, being fat in a small town it has its own kind of, thing. So I didn't really think that being a pop star was for me or, I was going to be able to do that. So then I went to college. I started doing fashion. I interned at Lucky Magazine and then Vogue. So being a fat girl at Vogue, that was also a little situation. But, music was always on the back burner. I always, sang no matter where I went. And then I swiped right to find this man.
We met on Tinder.
Hey.
That's
Actually,
dope. That's
yeah.
dope.
Yeah, so I met my man on Tinder, but he was a music producer, moved here from Norway, sold all of his shit to like make it as a rap and hip hop producer in New York City, man. This little white Norwegian boy that like, but it's totally, he's like that, savant that you sit in front of the thing and it's like, he's like, okay, I'm going to work on music for a couple minutes. I'm like, it's only going to take me 30 minutes to make food. He's like, it's fine. I come back, a whole track is made, built up from the ground up. I was like, did you use a sample? And he's like, oh, no. If I took boop, boop, bop, bop, and then I was like, oh, what?
You're like,
So
nah.
yeah, no, totally. So he has this like, he's so talented with that. So moved here, and then we met on Tinder, and I was like working in fashion, and then all of a sudden I was like singing one day. I was like, ooh, yeah. And he's like, oh. You can sing.
I
Like,
didn't even
what's
know
up?
she could sing.
Well, because that's what it wasn't about, baby. Okay. You don't swipe on Tinder to make an album. Okay. I mean, in my case, I definitely did. So we met on Tinder and then we started making music together and, we wrote a song for, because, I'd always sing other people's music. Like that's,
Right. Did a lot of
whatever.
covers.
Yeah, I did a lot of covers and that kind of stuff. But it was the first time that, we wrote a song together and I got to use my voice in a different way. And then was obsessed with it and couldn't stop. And we just had this like magic between us that we were able to just keep making a shit ton of music.
Yeah, we made one track and I was like surprised because we just made a song for fun.
Right.
And it turned out better than most like professional songwriters or artists that I usually work with. And I was like, well, we got to make another one.
Yeah.
And we did.
I was
we
like,
made
this is
another
so
one,
easy.
And another one, and another
Oh my
one. And then we had a
God.
whole album and we fell in love during the process. And now we're married. And,
Wow.
and
We got married a year
Congrats.
ago, so we like newlyweds and cute as shit.
Cute as shit.
So, I mean, I obviously work with other artists and writers and stuff, but Margie number one,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's crazy. So that now my whole life, I mean, I still do fashion and stuff like that, but our whole life is music, writing songs, writing, for other people, writing songs for ourselves, performing just because, he DJs with me when I do performances and stuff. So we're
That's sick.
constantly just creating at all times.
The Dastardly Duo.
Yeah,
Oh.
she sings, I produce.
It almost sounds like
and,
bastardly duo, like the bastardly duo. I'm like,
You're like,
I don't know.
shit, chill, dude.
Yeah, I was
That's
like,
one of those
chill.
words you just kind of like pull out of the,
Yeah, I'm like.
he has that word like tucked. He's been
Oh
waiting
yeah,
for the right
he has
moment.
that like that thing that tells you a
I've just
new
been
word
waiting.
a day, like just in the back of his bank. He definitely got it like 6 months ago and was like just sitting at desk.
I just read the dictionary.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
well,
waiting
all day long.
He was
That's
waiting
why
for
your
that
dog
one
is
chance.
asleep.
Yeah, he's like boring.
My dad's like super boring. I can't wait till I grow up and I get a license. Like,
Drive his little puppy car.
so we just started making music, and now that my album's out, it's just crazy because, you know, obviously as a plus size girl in music, I don't want to just talk about that,
Right.
but it was an opportunity for me to talk about a platform being a little bit different.
Right.
And, you know, I have a song called, like, it's like, I believe your body's a temple, yeah. You got to worship and love yourself. Don't have to listen to no one else. Your body's a temple. My body's a temple. Your body's a... Hey, and then it goes into this. But it has like an
That's
island
sick.
beat. So just
Love
imagine
it.
that with an
Yeah.
island beat, like, ooh, like very Janet Jackson, like...
Sick.
So
dope.
you know, it's nice that all this stuff is out because it's like I want it to have a message, but I also want it to be just like authentic and real. And
Yeah, that's like a huge thing in music that I personally love is just getting across who you are. And I think it's missing in a lot of music nowadays.
Oh, for sure, because there's so much manufacturing happening. So when you see people from the ground up that you create literally everything, but it's also we don't have people telling us, you know, labels
Right.
and things being like, you can't do this, you can't do that. Because we do everything independently, we have this freedom to really create a product now that is really authentic to ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, one day when I, you know, get to maybe I go to a major label and, you know, that might be the next move, but this is the most realist I think I could ever be with this
Right.
album.
Yeah,
I think
I love
It's
that.
fun and it's pop and it's still kind of like carefree, but at the same time, there's like, you know, you have the songs with like a deeper message.
Right.
And I get to go off on my vocals.
That's what's up.
You know what I mean? You know, whatever.
Yeah, going off of what you're just talking about, like authenticity is so key in 2018.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I think like most of our listeners are like artists, producers, people who are, you know, in music trying to like navigate and everything. But like the one thing that I get from every guest, you know what I mean, is authenticity, be yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
stop trying
Even
to fit
all the
molds.
A&Rs, managers, they all say the same thing, which is really interesting because they're A&Rs at really big labels, right?
Yeah.
They're like, you got to be authentic. You got to be authentic. But I think that's really a newer thing for the music industry because we
yeah.
have the platform to release as independent artists, as independent producers. We don't need labels. And
Yeah.
it's interesting that everyone thinks they need a label, but a lot of the times a label can hold you back.
Oh, 100%. And that's why it was so nice that we were able to, I mean, you know, you can speak to this too, because we released it through his independent label. And it's so easy for you to have ownership of everything, release it on these outlets without having anybody else. And they're still doing the splits and doing all these things
Right.
where it's like, what's this other, like DistroKid was one.
I
Or
mean,
like,
it's easy to release and distribute and do all of that yourself. So a label in the old school sense is not the same when they own the format of CDs, you know, and we're printing and pushing. But internet, no, you don't need them like that to get there. But then we're competing with the marketing and the promotion.
They're
and
now
radio.
marketing agencies as far as I'm
And so,
concerned.
I mean, they're
yeah,
banks.
that you have to
They're banks
pay.
as well.
Banks.
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah.
And so, I was telling Margie, like, yes, we now to get on the level we want to be, we might need to find a label to work with to take it
Sure.
there, but it could just as well be an investor of sort.
Exactly.
You know?
You,
Yeah.
you could go
Private
pitch it to...
investor. Yeah.
So anyone listening
anyway.
to this who wants to invest in Margie Plus, please go to margieplus.com and find more information.
Plug.
Oh,
Get on that. Seriously.
for real, because that's, I mean, as an artist, that's what I'm finding hard is it's like, I have the package, I know my voice, we have a product, and we can release it, but now how do I get to mass market? How do I compete with the people who have the budgets to get you on radio that, you know, are placing you on these tours and that kind of stuff? And, you know, I'm from Spokane, Washington. Like,
Right.
I knew no one coming to New York. Like,
Yeah.
I was that small town girl that was like, I'm going to be a star.
Right.
And just fucking hustled. Am I allowed to say fucking?
Yeah.
Okay, and then,
Say
you know,
it.
or whatever, dude. And then has just hustled. And the same with Harold. Like, we knew no one. We didn't have anything. We just had this drive and we had a dream and we figured out how to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And we figured out that, yes, one day we'll have a bigger label and bigger budget, stuff like this. But, okay, how do we we see what everybody else is doing. How do we kind of mimic that in our own way?
Right.
You know, and we've really been able to, in New York, navigate that, go to the right parties, be seen with the right people. And thankfully, like, you know, my best friend is Rihanna's hairstylist. So then I'm like at Rihanna's table and I'm amazing. Starting to now make all of these connections that it's crazy. Like, and the power of just that, being an independent artist, has been major. So it's just finding your own lane and route, and everybody does it different.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just that consistent drive and motivation that, you know.
And I feel we can make a great song any day and every day.
Sure.
The problem is how to get it out there, seen and heard.
Right. And branding.
Yeah.
And making sure it's a consistent message that makes sense and lines up. Yeah, I understand that 100%. I think a lot of the time nowadays, a lot of artists that I see, the biggest mistakes I see is that they don't treat it like, hey, we can go get a contractor. You know what I mean? We can go to a bank, we can get a loan. They treat it like we have to go to the label.
Yeah.
Which, I understand that. It's like finding the specialists, you know, finding the A&Rs that do this really well, the executives that do that really well, the radio DJs that do this really well. But like you're saying, Margie, going out on your own and just meeting those people on your own and making those connections just as good.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And that's the only reason why we've been really able to kind of get to where, because we are out, we are seen. Like, I have a look already. Yep. When I come in, I'm a big girl with neon hair. I glow in the dark, and I always come in. I'm consistent. Like, I always have a look, and I always have, and that just branding yourself like that and staying consistent, like you were saying, that alone, you don't have to have a budget for that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, but it's hard because I get it, because not every artist has that part, right? They have the, I can write a song and I'm this, but I need somebody to dress me, or I need somebody to do my hair and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, we're blessed in the sense that we kind of know how to do every aspect. Like, I got my MBA in business. Like, I learned, you know, marketing and social media. So I have that aspect. Harold has the, you know, experience of the fact he's been doing it in Norway and here, and he's, you know, won Grammys in Norway, but now is doing it all over again in America. And just the difference in music scenes in both those countries are major, you know?
Yeah, so it goes back to the same, that half is making the song, half is selling it.
Right.
And if you really want to be an independent artist, you have to do the selling part, even though you may or may not like it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
'Cause
it's the biggest problem that the industry has. It's that you got a lot of artists and then you got a lot of business people, but finding the people that are balanced enough to understand both sides.
Oh my gosh.
That's really difficult.
But we live in the kind of dream age for music makers, because, you know, you can get some cheap software and a keyboard and a mic, and you can put it out yourself on Spotify and whatever. So it's ideal. But when the value of the product is kind of $0, you basically don't get anything back for a stream.
Right.
Well, it floods the market with competition.
Yep.
And in one sense it's good, but in another sense it's like, okay, how do I get seen and heard between all of these?
Cutting through.
So for us, then, without any big budget, you know, it's online, it's internet where we can win, and in real life, going places, meeting people, actual physical connections, you know. So it's a mix of all that, but it takes a lot of work regardless of what you want to do. And you got to be ready to put it in.
I want to reiterate on one of the things you talked about, which is image. Like, both of you guys have an image, like
a look is what we call it in New York.
Completely.
LEWK.
But like, I think we talked about this like on like 2 podcasts ago. You know, I spoke specifically about G, you know, having a uniform where he wears the same thing to every video shoot and every single performance and everything.
Wait, who?
G-Eazy.
Oh, I was like, who's G? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But it goes. It's really important, like talking about cutting through, you know, and I think I would want to even ask you more about fashion and how that relates to music. But just to reiterate, like, if you want to be a style icon in music, you have to like create a style and then wear it 100,000%.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I did my research. You know, I wasn't always like this, like in your face. You know, I had to kind of find who I wanted to be, who I really was inside, and how to be comfortable with showing that, because it's scary to be, you know what I mean? Like, not a lot of people will be okay with getting that much attention. And, you know, so in fashion specifically, you know, I did my research. I went to fashion school, but after that I interned at magazines, and I would just go and I would look at other style icons, what they did. And, you know, all through the times, like, oh, what was even Aretha Franklin wearing? What was she giving? Like, you know, the people people that you really remember have this look. They just have, you know, and I've always been a little crazy with my fashion. So just knowing that research of what's on trend, what's cool, how to just kind of be consistent in your look, and then just take it to the streets, baby. And don't be afraid. Like it's gonna take a little bit of trial and error to figure out what's right for you. But with fashion, it's so open for interpretation, and that's where like what even to like, because you know I have a fashion blog, and that's all my followers. It's always just like, be you. Don't be afraid to take risks, because you know growing up there was no big girls in media at all. Like there was, the only girl in music was Beth Ditto, who was part of the Gossip, you know, and that was like major because she was sitting front row at a Chanel show, and you don't ever see big girls in fashion at that level. And I was like, wow. And seeing how the fact that she was in Vogue affected how much her music was selling, I was like, oh, so you could do both. Like, you don't have to just, because I had a love for fashion and I had a love for music. And I was like, how do both of these work together? And then moving to New York and getting involved with Fashion Week and seeing like, oh, Drake just performed at the like, you know, Prada party and blah, blah, blah. And just seeing all those people, and then just realizing if you just hit the streets, anything can be found online. I would even go on and look at, you know, please, you know, you don't have to be invited to these parties to bust through. Okay. So that's another thing I like to reiterate, because people are like, I'm so scared. Like, how do I get invited? I said, baby, half those parties I was not invited. But guess what? I came in a look and I figured out on Instagram, tag, boom, 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 whatever.
And we done whatever we like.
Oh, yeah.
$20 to the door guy.
Oh, yeah, no.
We'll be there.
It's been some real shit. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
But we've been using the fashion, because we were talking about in the beginning when we made music, like, okay, you have all the big festivals, obviously we want to be at like Coachella, etc. But I'm like, right now it'll just cost us a lot of money and we won't get that much back. We'll drown. Right. And so let's start with the fashion. We have the doors and the way in, and so we were like, every single fashion week we do a release, a party, a performance, like tied in with that, because it's all the same industry people there. We're just not competing with all the same artists. Because they're mostly into fashion. So you got all the industry, and that was good for us. It gave us a little like
gave us a separate lane, exactly, a little bit.
I feel like there's a big importance also in the way that you look kind of mimics how you sound. And I think it's really interesting when you see an artist like you, or Kevin was using G-Eazy as an example. You can see how they dress themselves, hold themselves, their style sounds, it sounds like how they look, you know? So it's almost interesting to me to like see you, and I'm like, I can kind of see what your music would look like or sound like.
Also, our favorite,
if that makes sense.
our favorite like day off thing would be to go to the thrift store, vintage places, just finding pieces and, you know.
Yeah, like finding weirdo offset, because it's like, for us, it's fun to stand out. Like, it's fun to be different. Like, we like, you know what I mean? And we don't go extra different on purpose. It's just, we more just like, he wants to wear a silk kimono with some pink shoes.
Yeah, just
he
embrace
felt like
it.
wearing that today. So he did it, and he wasn't scared to be like, you know, is anyone going to say whatever, you know?
Well,
so
we're
it's
also building ourselves up to be more extreme, you know? Ever since we were both kind of doing this, but now we just do it more.
Well, we just talked about cutting through, you know what I mean? Like, if you start dressing like everyone and you do the same things as everyone else, you don't actually cut at that point.
A lot of people...
I don't think it's authentic. I think you're trying to be something that is popular. And the interesting thing about, you know, the art and the dress, the fashion, all that, it's all art. It's all just expression.
100%.
And for me, it's just like, it's like experimenting with new sounds that you don't go to all the time when you're producing. Or when you're mixing using a new EQ, compressor, new effect, whatever, you're just fucking around. You're trying to figure it out. It's experimental. Everything in art should be experimental. And I think a big part of the fashion thing is that it's like trying to find like, oh, I do like this. This is dope. But if you just always go, oh, everyone thinks that's dope, so I'm only going to wear black leather all the time.
Yeah, no,
you'll never figure out what you really
like.
like.
Exactly.
You know, don't be looking at what you think other people want. I mean, unless you have a client for a project that
right. Client work for sure.
Yeah, so that's a little different if it's work for hire. But if it's not, don't think what people will want from you. Right. Find what you like.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there is in art, especially in 2018, a lot of like pushing to the masses, you know what I mean? Like the hype beast in fashion, you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
you can walk around LA and New York and like, you know, there is like a designated style.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Depending on neighborhood, even.
Yeah.
Well, I sold my whole sneaker
we're in
and
Silver
Supreme
Lake.
collection to get to America.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
And I'm kinda
he
glad-
was that hype beast.
Yeah, I was a hype
Ooh,
beast,
it got
and now-
Supreme on it. It's
Yeah. And now I'm really
$10,000.
glad-
I need it.
I don't
I'm
want a
like, oh,
logo
God.
like that anymore. I was like, well, I got it. I got the best of it. Now it's more fun to find something weird and different than
Right.
everybody else.
Yeah.
I still appreciate like a cool streetwear look
Yeah,
and a
yeah, for
brand,
sure.
but I'm like, let's try to do what people aren't doing.
Yeah, and he comes from bougie Norway. And, I had a single mom. We grew up and we didn't have money. So it was like, she made going to the thrift store fun. Like,
Right.
Margie, you can
Yeah,
be different. Isn't that so cool?
Go
And I'm
dig
like,
through the bins.
yes,
of,
isn't
of
that
smelly
fun?
clothes.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, and then you learn to love it. So
is
when he
fun.
met me, I was like, like he'd be like, oh, that's so cool, but that looks so expensive. I was like, I got this at Buffalo Exchange for $13. Like, what's up? And then so it was funny how we've both kind of, how I kind of opened him up to that world of like the look for less, as I like
Yeah.
to say.
It's really funny about that. I have a good story, for the thrift shop thing. So my grandma put me on that. She was like one of those older ladies, smoked in her house, drank whiskey in her Diet Coke and shit. And
Not in her Diet Coke.
and we never knew, like it was like grandma's lit, yeah, why do we smell so bad? The whole house just rang. But she would like go to like the really, really shitty Goodwills. And I don't remember what they were called, but it was
Called Goodwill outlets.
it was basically like bins of like they
Yeah,
would just
it's the
dump the bins
outlets.
and they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, you go through it yourself, right?
Yeah.
These huge like vats of clothes. And one day, and we loved it. We learned to love it. She would like go and then she'd make garage sales and upsell it and like,
Yeah.
and she would
That's
just
the
kept
hustle,
doing that.
baby.
She'd like
Awesome.
flip.
Supreme sneakers.
She was out of control. And I remember one day, my mom was like, yeah, okay, you're going to stay with your grandma for today, and she took us to this spot and it was one of those Goodwills and we were like, this is amazing, like there was just so much stuff.
So much trash bins of
Yeah.
clothes. Like, yes.
And so I'm digging through stuff and I found these pants that I loved and they were forest green and they said
Yes.
fucked on them. And this was literally probably right when that company started, right? And I mean, it was in a bin barrel at some shit place,
Yeah.
right? And I must have been like 12. You know what I mean? 13 years old. I'm 34 now. So I'm like, I'm getting these. And of course, I didn't show my grandma or anything. I'm like, I didn't show her the logo or anything. And then I remember one day I was skateboarding and my mom's like, what did the back of your pants say? What does that say? And I'm like, what? Nothing. And she's like, fucked. She got so pissed about it.
Like, where did you get these pants?
Well, right, but I love them, man. I wear them
Grandma
out.
bought them for me, Mom.
Yeah, Grandma did
They were
it.
$1.79 a pound.
Exactly. They did. They
By
did it by
pound.
pound.
They did it by.
It was
Oh, please!
amazing.
I know that,
Wow.
baby. I know every good outlet and.
Well, I had an amazing come up like that in Norway. So a friend, when I was collecting sneakers back then, a friend of mine went to the northernmost city in Norway. So there's like nobody living there. There's
Right.
only one store which sells everything,
Nice.
and
Sick.
and it has everything.
Oh,
Food,
7-Eleven?
It's like the general store in like the
And so
where the
he went
northern
there,
lights
there's, like,
are.
There's some shoes here that look like Dunks. This is like 06, 07 or something.
Right.
And like I was just buy them.
Right.
Like it was before like picture phone almost. So I was just like just buy them. It was $50 each.
Nice.
So he comes back and it's 2 pairs of original Air Jordan 1 from 1984, dead stock in
Oh my
box.
God.
It's the AJKO
Brand new.
mint because
Right.
they're up in the snow in Winterland.
Right.
Who
Like,
would
Who's
ever?
going to
Right.
Northern
Leave it on the
Lights to buy
shelf.
Dunks?
How did they even get there?
Nobody.
Yeah, been 23 years on the
Right?
shelf.
And why were they only $50?
Because he didn't know, and so
He didn't know,
So
exactly.
I put them on eBay and posted on sneaker forums, and like they sold for $4,300.
Wow. That's insane. That's hype beast
That's
right
hype
there.
Yeah, that's hype beast.
That is the definition of hype.
Ours is more
beast.
like trash beast.
Yeah.
than those bins.
trash beast.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So yeah, like, I think the biggest thing right now, like a lot of people keep saying like, oh, fashion and hip hop. Yeah, man, this is just like a new thing. It's like, or even in music. It's like, you guys
no.
just don't know the history of music. Like someone was telling me the other day, like, yeah, Kanye started that, man. He was wearing polos and shit. And I'm like,
What?
how old are you? That's
Like,
usually how it works.
exactly.
Thurston Howell started that.
Yeah, I was gonna like, what? Since the beginning of time, I think music and culture and art and wear, fashion, how you dress, Leonardo da Vinci, it's always been there.
Yeah. Oh,
Beethoven,
100%.
they've all had their
a
own
look.
style.
They've all had a look.
Yeah, let's not
Half
play
of it was
like that.
crazy, but it was their own.
I do see a lot of streetwear influencing high-end fashion though. Now.
Oh yeah,
It
that's
used to
happening
be-
like crazy.
It used to
now.
be the other way around, where
Well, Virgil and
Yeah.
LV is like the marriage of that, isn't
exactly.
100%.
Yeah. So that's really cool. But yeah, I don't know what to even think where music or fashion is going to go in 20 years from now. That's going to be
Oh, no one knows. I hope we're wearing like robot suits.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like armor, you know,
Yeah,
you're
like, I want
yeah,
some
what's up?
crazy, like,
This shit's heavy as
capes.
fuck, and I'm sweating, but damn, I'm
dope.
lit. Yeah, someone
Damn,
try,
I'm lit.
someone try to shoot me, I'm good, dude.
Yeah.
Bulletproof, man.
That's what I just hope it just keeps going more and more crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like fashion recycles so much that we see like shit that we hated when we were growing up. I was like, yo, those are kind of cool now though. Like I remember mom tried to put me in those, but I'm like, yo, I might like them again.
But I feel it's freer now than it used to be. Like in the 90s, hey, you were either goth or you were this
Yeah,
or you were
for
that.
sure.
Now it's like, well, everybody's a little bit of everything. And one day I'll be all black, one day I'll be all pink, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
it's less defined. And same with
100%.
genres in music as well. It's more floating, like...
Oh, for sure.
the
with
internet.
music too.
Yeah.
The internet,
Like
internet,
rappers
social
are
media.
singing, like you know what?
Well, their engineers are making them sing.
Yeah, whatever.
I don't really think rappers can sing very well. I think a lot of this stuff is like in the technology, which is really cool because it
Yeah.
opens the doors for people that can't really sing coming up with a really interesting melody.
Which
Because
is
like
cool
something
in
a
one
singer
way.
wouldn't come up with, you know?
I always
No,
loved it
totally.
when a rapper sing, like Tupac.
Me
When he
too.
sings,
Yeah.
he can't sing at all, but
Yeah.
you feel it so hard.
Yeah.
And so...
It's like he really wanted
Yes.
to, you know, like
And
he
so
meant
I don't
it.
care if you can't sing, but go for it.
Yeah, totally.
So it's
We
so
can always audition.
So it's so funny. So when we're because we have a home studio so in New York. So every time Harold like has a rapper over and they're like, I'm a rapper and I'm from
they're
Harlem
like,
and I've been through it. And then Harold's like, okay, give me like just sing a little bit.
Yeah.
Just give me a little thing. And then they'll do it for fun and then he'll mix it, flip it, scratch it, do blah blah whatever, and then put it in. They'll be like, yo, that was hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but
Damn,
it was
I'm
so,
lit.
Yeah, I was so terrified
I'm so
though to like
sensitive.
use their voice. Like the fact that he's like, just do a little something. They're like, how do I? What you mean?
Yeah.
And then they'll do it, and then he'll be like, just like talk, sing like Drake, and then they'll do it, and they'll be like, yo, this is cool.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like that fear to just like
Yeah.
be different is so funny.
Yeah, I love it. I love that getting pushed, like the musicality in hip hop and trap. Like, it's definitely opened up quite a bit. It's the new rock and roll. You know, it's the new biggest music in the
Oh
world.
gosh,
and-
trap for
Yeah.
sure, everywhere. Walk it, like talk it.
Yeah.
hit, walk it,
They're all
like
rock
a,
stars
talk
now,
it,
you know, like,
walk it,
yeah.
like a, talk it. Hit.
Yeah, Post Malone getting all these awards. You know,
Even though I
VMAs.
low key love Post Malone.
Oh yeah, he's sick.
his
he is a
So
rock
lyrics.
when you
star,
want to
though.
make a track, baby, let
Right?
it go.
His melodies are amazing, but his lyrics are like, what are you talking about?
You know it's psycho, little mama bad like Michael. It's like,
Like, who wrote
what?
this?
Why is she batting like Michael? Why? Where you at? Like, are y'all playing baseball? Like,
But it goes in, I think, for me, I mean, lyrics are important, but melody trump lyric.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about this on another podcast. I think it was with Brian Gaffey, Interscope, DJ. We were talking about how he's like, yeah, the things that play on the radio, especially if it's hip hop, it's got to be melodic. Like there's
Oh,
there's
100%.
one-offs where it's like, oh, this isn't very melodic.
Bad and Bougie. Does
Yeah, and
good
it
on the
does
radio.
well, right?
Or-
But he's like, but that's like most of that's streaming. It'll do well on streaming, but like radio, it's like if it's not melodic, catchy, hooky, won't
It's
last.
also because we've heard regular rap.
Yeah,
a
we're like
thousand
over it a
times.
little bit.
You got to be real good
Yeah.
now to surprise me with a new regular
Or really
type rap.
popular.
Yeah.
Right.
So but when you start fusing rap and singing, it instantly is more interesting.
Yeah, totally.
Even your rappers right now, like Kendrick and J. Cole, they're singing. You know what
It's
I
very
mean?
melodic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, very melodic. Very, very melodic.
Very melodic. Very melodic.
Well, that's a bit, but yeah, because it's so true. Because that's the first thing I listen to. I'm not listening to what they're saying, and then half the time when I'm like, I really like this song, and then I listen to the lyrics, I'm like, did she just say she's going to the grocery store to go get some like Kotex? And I'm like,
right.
yo, nobody needs to know this, or just like the same 3 words over and over again.
So funny.
It's like, what the fuck are you saying? Like I mean, it's cool that they did the chop and screw, but like, baby,
Yeah.
huh?
Well, I think it's influencing the singing now. So singers like Beyonce are flowing super
Yeah.
hard now.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true. Very true.
Hitting the triplets and
Yeah.
Did you see all the new?
Like, what did she say? Who cares?
She got hot sauce in her bag. Like, girl, you're not supposed to let people know that.
She got a pancake for dinner. Great.
Yeah.
I want Adele to flow next. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for that.
What?
Adele to hit it on some trap records.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sure there will definitely be a Adele trap remix.
But I didn't think
if she wants to.
Bad and bougie.
Yeah.
Only if she wants
trap
to.
would be as big as it become when it first, like, you know, everybody making trap, and then I was like, well, that's gonna last like Skrillex, etc. I gave it 3 years of that genre, but then boom, it became pop.
Yeah,
and the same with Triplet, just because, well, it's a new flow that hasn't been exhausted yet.
Right. We gotta exhaust it first. You know? Yeah.
And same with auto-tune and Future or like The Dream, etc. It's like, I'll give it 3-5 years.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's standard.
It's going.
Yeah, now it's 100%.
Now it's like you put trap drums on everything.
Yeah.
It's like a
pop songs.
It's like a Christian
Slow
record.
songs.
For real.
Like
Every
they're gonna
song
put
I
trap
have, I'm
drums
like,
on
can you
it.
put a little
But
trap drum on me?
drums are what defines the time of the song.
100%.
Like 80s, we remember the 80s
Yeah.
drums. If you remove the drums, it could be a song from today.
Yeah, who
almost,
knows? Right.
Except the guitar.
It's like a a throwback retro song, right?
So drums set the times a lot of.
100%. Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, again, the technology. It's like, these eras of the SP1200, the MPC 60s, the MPC 2000, 5000, FL Studio, Logic and computers, and now samples and sample packs where kids are making loops and then giving them to another producer who's putting drums on them. And then, all these big producers are making drum packs that are just trap drum samples. So it's like, it's the sign of the times. It's the programming. It's the technology.
I feel like I'm cheating making music now almost.
Oh,
with
it's
Splice
insane,
and
right?
everything. I'm like,
With
what?
Splice and
this is so easy. I mean,
So Harold makes all of his music on Reason, and he was so excited. I don't know how long ago was it, but all of them, you only use specific plugins or something with it, and then all of a sudden now he can open it up and all this stuff, and it was like almost like he was gonna cry. Like he was so happy, like oh my god, like he's grabbing boxes, downloading shit, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, it's open. I now can use all of my things. Like now, I was like,
I'm gonna use Reason plugins
and
and
it was
Logic.
so funny. I was like,
I
ooh,
went
that's
from-
the producer.
So now
I
I'm
don't know
100%
nothing about
Reason.
this.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been
There you go.
using every software, but it's so nice to just use one.
Yeah,
Finally,
and master it. Yeah,
because they all do the same. It's just which one works best for you.
totally.
Yeah.
Or just like which one you want to learn the most.
Yeah.
Which one do I want to spend the most time with? Because that's
they
what
do
I
the
find.
same, but where are the buttons?
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
difference.
How do I do this in that compared to that?
So are you
Yeah.
recording her in Reason? And
Yeah.
full mix as well.
100%.
Yeah, Reason's come a long way.
Yeah, well, now it's a full DAW. So,
Yeah.
it used to be more of a music making tool.
Yeah, it was like a beatbox, basically.
Yeah. And so we do, the last album is 100% Reason,
That's great.
but it doesn't, matter when the plugins are
Yeah.
the
Right.
same everywhere. So.
Yeah, exactly. You're using third-party plugins, Isotope and
Yeah, all of it.
UAD and all that. Yeah.
Before I met him, I didn't even know what Reason was because I heard of like Pro Tools and like that, but I've never heard of.
Oh, it's basically
Reason, that's
just like it's like intellectually thinking about something, just like having common sense, like Reason.
Yeah, I understand what Reason means. I have none of it.
It's like Logic.
but, yeah,
It's a lot like Logic. Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny, actually, that they have
Yeah,
the
like
same
why do they
combinations.
why do they say like Reason and Logic? Like, okay, come on, we get
And
it.
then
Like,
Fruity
damn.
Loops like Fruity Loops, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I started with Fruity
But
Loops.
that almost makes me feel like those are the idiots. No shade, but it's almost like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
like the off-brand, like Fruity Loops.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it
And now it's
started
like the
as a
biggest
toy.
thing ever.
yeah, I know, totally.
Yeah.
Everyone has it. I'm like, oh, so that's what that means. I mean, I
Like
know
all
nothing
records
about
are made
production,
on
but-
Fruity Loops.
Yeah, you hear a Drake
Duh.
album and it's all
Yeah,
Fruity
he's
Loops
like, yo, I
beats.
use my Fruity Loops.
Started on, yeah, and I
I'm
started
lit on Fruity Loops.
in
Yeah.
like 99.
It's got gross beat.
And everybody was just downloading it illegally because
Yeah.
whatever. And then I was like, okay, I used it a lot, so I wanted to buy it.
Right.
What,
And so
Fruity
I
Loop-
bought
Fruity
Fruity
Loops?
Loops, yeah.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
bought it like in 2002 or something.
Right.
And then I haven't really used it since. And then now I saw everybody's using it. Let me see if my account works. And it's like, yeah,
You're
you
still
bought it
going,
then,
right?
You're on Lifetime. You get the
amazing.
newest one. And I was
Wow.
like, well, I paid like nothing then.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like legacy user. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yes,
think-
legacy.
Hey.
I'm a legacy user, bitch.
Never
Imagine-
used it once.
Yeah, right. Never used it. I'm a legacy user.
Speaking
Doesn't
of-
matter.
Legacy, dude. I used it that one time in '99. It was
was
dope.
crazy.
It was lit.
Speaking of Pro Tools, like we're paying like, you have to pay in a subscription every year,
Monthly
$100
fees and
monthly
shit.
fees, and oh my gosh.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah.
I love Slate.
Avid, you're failing.
Oh yeah.
The
Yeah.
Slate
Yeah,
plugins
Slate's
is
great.
worth it. But
Oh, is that
adds up.
boy that's on the line that does a little poop poop papa?
Well, with the
Yeah.
mics and plugins, yeah.
Yeah.
it is.
No, he says the new incredibly detailed.
And he's the one, but he's like the rocker, right? And he's like,
And he
and he
never
plays like the
blinks.
drums and stuff. Like he's the rocker one,
Oh,
right?
he's a badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Total
That
badass.
guy. Yeah.
He came from drums and music production, engineering, and started his company, and now he makes super dope plugins and
He
microphones.
should be on your
and-
guys'
consoles.
show too.
Yeah, we'll get him.
Yeah.
We're gonna get him.
He's the Elon Musk
Slate,
of music
come on.
right now, I feel.
Yeah, he's like, I made a
Elon Musk of
spaceship
music.
microphone.
There you go.
I'm going to space to record.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Next
I
album.
got him for Christmas the Slate microphone, right?
Yeah.
Is that the one I got?
They're great.
I don't
Yeah.
even know what the hell I got.
God, look at us. We're just gearheads, just
Yeah,
chatting about
yeah.
gear.
Yeah, like I know everything too, guys. I'm
Yeah.
like one of the dudes.
Motherfucker.
know nothing.
She knows a lot. She knows who Slate is, so that's.
I know who
Yeah.
Slate is
Yeah.
because he's always on the computer. Like Harold's always like watching these like tutorials on like the Slate
Yeah.
products. I'm like, you're obsessed with this man.
Nah, we're
Who
just
is
nerds.
he?
Usually music producers, engineers, we're all just a bunch of nerds.
Just Brad. Brad's a nerd.
for
I'm
sure.
pretty normal.
Yeah, sure you are. Yeah,
Like-
he sure is. He sources all the parts for his hardware gear. And he
wow.
talks about this specifically has a fucking
that's
input
too much.
transformer,
I love
blah
that,
blah
though.
blah.
Where do you
Yeah.
source your parts?
Yeah.
I'm speaking
not a
of,
nerd at
speaking
all.
of garage sales. Yeah, I'm all about the eBay. You know. what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh God,
Tube ads
he was
and
a,
stuff.
he-
You get some tubes or what are you?
Yeah,
buying?
completely. Yeah.
See? Oh, I'm not a nerd, dude. I'm
yeah.
normal.
Yo, you got the tubes? I'm like, what? The
Yo,
hell
bro,
are
I
you
got some
talking
new
about?
tubes off
Got some
eBay.
tubes in this
Listen.
microphone right
Yeah,
here that I got
you
off
do.
eBay.
Oh, what kind are
Yeah.
they?
British ones.
No idea. Just did the research.
He
Realized
didn't
they were
want to
good.
actually give himself away that he's a total
No,
audio nerd.
they're molded tubes
See what I'm
all
saying?
the way from Britain. They sound really good. Yeah.
I feel like
It
they
gives you
sound
the
good.
That's why when she was singing earlier, you guys, that's
sound
why
lit.
it was, yeah.
That's why it's crisp. So, what are you guys finding like the biggest thing, the hardest thing to navigate as independent, crew making music, dropping music? What have been like the biggest challenges? Because I'm sure making the music's been easy.
Yeah, that's the easiest part.
Because you're both on
We
the
can
same
write a song
page.
in our sleep. Like,
Right, you
that's
got a
not the-
producer,
Also,
you got a singer,
the
you
whole
writer.
thing that
Yeah,
comes with
exactly.
it was the big deal, like making music videos, making that happen on a
Yeah,
low budget,
the
trading
media,
favors,
right.
and getting our outlets to write about it and getting it seen and heard. That's where we spend most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're
'Cause-
getting better at it for sure.
Oh, for sure. Well, and that's what we're saying. Like when we have all of these services, like even just the connections we make through Instagram and finding out, like, I don't know what I'm trying to go with this, but basically how online is really like you can do everything yourself. So we're just trying to figure out, okay, so yes, we can put it out. We already have our look. We know where the right places to be seen, where we can get press photos and build ourselves up that way. But now how do we get
Just
mass
know
market?
that nothing happens by itself. Nobody will ever just come and
Oh,
give
that's
you
not
shit,
real.
Right, right.
Unless you're Ariana Grande and they're like, we'll make you a star.
Yeah. You're beautiful. You have a great
playlisting
voice.
myself, and that means finding who the playlist dude is, hitting them up on Facebook, getting in that other inbox that they never check,
Right.
and you send out 50 cold messages, get maybe one reply, but that's what it takes to get seen and heard. So you got to do all the work.
Well,
Yep.
and the thing the thing we're doing now is the power of Spotify. So how to get on playlists, how to pitch ourselves out that way,
one.
and figuring out. So it's just ways to figure out. Okay, how do we navigate this ourselves? And
Right.
and if you just take the time to do it, you really can. It just takes a lot of work.
Yeah,
So if you're the product doing that work and doing everything, it's a little hard.
100%.
Marketing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do everything literally.
I find that 98% of everybody in the music industry only really fights one thing, and it's obscurity. It's like
What do you
we all make music, and some of us, like maybe 10,000 out of 20,000 make amazing music, right? But they're just fighting obscurity. They don't know how to get heard. They don't know how to get their stuff out there.
exactly.
Their name's not getting out there. They can't market enough. They can't make enough content in enough time to compete with the big labels, with the big artists that have tons of marketing budget. They got billboards. They got ads coming out. They
Tour
got
bus.
tours. They got
Tour buses.
right. And
On tour.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like exactly, or you're hearing them placed on a TV show over and over and over again. So you know, like, oh, what is that commercial with that Fruit of the Loom that had those, you know, and then you hear it over and over again, just like the radio.
Yeah, you like
you
it Whole
automatically
Foods
like it.
Right.
My mom's so funny, God bless her. She loves the radio. That's her thing. She'll be in the car and she'll blast the radio, and there'll be songs she'll be like, I don't like this song, and I'm like, oh wow, it's very opinionated. Yeah. But then, you know, it'll be on the radio so many times at the end of it, she'll be blasting it, singing. I'm like, Mom, I thought you didn't like this song. She's like, oh, well, I heard it enough times, I liked it. And I was like, so that's the trick. So all y'all just need to hear my shit a lot.
It is the trick. And then it's feeling like, when you're in the club and your song comes out that you know, you're like, whoa, yeah, no,
that's my shit.
Yeah,
everyone's like,
that's my shit.
And if it's the first time it's played, you'd be like, this is kind of cool, I don't know, you know. But the third, second, fourth, whatever time, you love it. And so the power of repetition of a song is what makes a song a hit too. You know, it's just not that
market.
It's
marketing, establishing yourself in the, you know.
Well, they say with marketing, you have to get like something between 9 and 25 touches before someone even goes, hey, I'm going to give this an opportunity. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's all in marketing.
We just got 2 touches. You like it? I like it. Okay, cool. Let's go.
Right. I think everyone wants it like they're like, I have great music. I'm dope, right? So I should get it right now.
Well, word of mouth is the opposite of the 20 touches. It's like oh yeah, my friend likes it, so I super like it.
Yeah,
because that's how humans think. Like,
oh, for sure.
I don't like those jeans until everyone else is wearing them.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I love those jeans.
I mean, and that's all of us. Totally. Exactly. Like, oh, that looks so stupid, and then somebody does it, and then the other person does it. It's like, well, I guess they're okay. Like, they weren't that bad. They actually look really good on me.
But the same thing happens with like, oh no, V-necks are lame now, and then everyone's like, no, I'm not wearing V-necks anymore.
Well, like the fact that the Balenciaga dad shoes are like the newest, coolest thing. It's like, they look like orthopedic sneakers that I used to watch like disabled old men wear. Like, you know what I mean?
I love it because
it's, you know, has
I
its
can
own
just go and
vision,
find a pair of Umbros or New Balance
for
like $25.
Skechers,
that looks the same, and they might be even cooler sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
So that made it easy.
They're like, oh damn, those Balenciagas. You're like,
Balenciaga.
Yeah, that's why I say I'm the Balenciaga, baby. They're orthopedic.
They're orthopedics, bitch. Got to take care of my feet.
Yeah, my grandpa gave them to me.
I can hike in these.
I can hike in these. Yeah, I won't feel bad. They're not $950.
Yeah, they were $9.50.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like anything in music, like I feel like if your sound goes out, like if people think you're lame, it's like hard to balance that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like T-Pain for the longest time was killing it. Like every single hook he could just like hum, and it would like sell the single gajillion streams or whatever record sold.
But then the question, if a one-hit wonder, I also would rather have one hit than none hit.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Oh, please give me a one hit, baby.
So that proves that you can do it. Maybe you can repeat the formula.
Yeah.
But I understand that sometimes you can be like sound of the time. Say a Skrillex. He invented a genre. Mm-hmm. Amazing.
Sound of the times.
But that also means it'll have a time period.
Oh, yeah. You just dated it right there. Mm-hmm. 100%. Like dubstep was like the minute it came out, it dated like that year. Yeah. And now like then when it was put on anything else, you're like, that's old.
Or Kygo, Tropical House.
Yeah. Tropical House.
A genre, amazing, cool, good for you. And
then Bieber did it, and then it's done. Like,
it just
no
feels
more
like,
guys.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like it's very hard for people to create timeless music now.
Oh yeah.
It's always just of that genre and that hype, and they don't even want it on the radio if it's not. And so it's find those little gems that actually can withstand, 10 years, 20 years, like the music that we remember being like, 100%. Oh my gosh,
100%.
I think it goes back to the. Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, go.
It goes back to the mentality. Like I think most people, their mentality in 2018 is like, oh, I just need to get popping like right now. Like screw making timeless music.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do 15 beats today.
Well,
get
because
poppin'.
everyone's so on the hype, so it's hard.
Yeah, like there are still artists who like literally sit in the studio and like perfect it, like try to like make something that'll last more than 3 plays in a row.
Yeah.
There's like literally a lot of music now that I can hear through once and I'm like, okay, that's good. I'll hear it twice and then I hear it 3 times like, oh, I'm just sick of this already. Like,
I'm so tired of this.
I think I've heard this. Because it's like repeating the same thing. You know what I mean? Like I think you're Walk It Like I Talk It. That's definitely one of those songs. Like like that hook doesn't change. So like I feel like I've heard it 10 times, even though I've heard it once.
The first time I heard it, I was like, oh my God, you're repeating the hook twice and then saying it so much with just same over and over and over. This is intense. And then I can't help myself but singing it.
Right.
And he'll be in the shower like walking.
You know, when
okay,
we talked about how repetition makes it a pop song. Well, the hook is repeated so much that you already... So it's half genius, half annoying.
I think it's really like it's catering to the streaming. That's what it is. It's like streaming numbers. That's how we get paid now.
Yeah.
100% how we get paid. It's Spotify, Apple Music, it's Tidal. Does anyone
getting
use
on
Tidal?
those playlists?
Title.
Give me those 0.0045 cents.
Yeah, give me that money. You know, like if you get 1 million streams, you're gonna get this much money in your bank account. So I just feel like that's all this music is made for. It's made for streaming.
Yeah.
You know, it used to, like, you think about a record being crafted and you think about the technology, you think about the vinyl record.
Yeah.
We sit in the studio, we have big budgets, we spend months and months, sometimes years on a record. And then it gets put out, right? And the only way you can play it is on this medium. Put it on your needle and play it. And listen to the whole record. It's this big work of art.
Flip it,
you know what I mean?
flip it around.
Yeah.
when
CDs came out. Oh, you can skip around, right? Oh, well, let's make track number 3 the single, right? And then let's make this, and then let's put in filler. You know, towards the end of the album, you always get to these songs, you're like, this is shit.
Yeah.
So you just don't listen to it.
For sure.
Right? And now it's like streaming. Just make something really repetitive, release all the time, like release once a week. Just put shit out. If it's shit, no one will remember it anyway. They're just going to skip over it. If it's popping, you're going to get hundreds of millions of streams and we'll make a ton of money.
You skipped an era, which is what I call the ringtone rap era, where like the soundbite of your song was more important.
And they put it on the phones, like where it's actually a ringtone.
Yes.
It costs
I
more
remember
to buy
that.
a ringtone than the song.
For real, it was always like $14.99. I'm like, to
need
buy
that
this
ringtone.
15-second ringtone is $14.99.
That shit was lit though. You
Yeah,
know, when
it
you
was.
came
And I
out,
definitely
like,
bought like 7 of them.
Yeah.
Or when you were
let's
in
be
class
real.
or something, or like you were at the library or in the movies and your ringtone was some stupid, you know, you crank that Soldier Boy.
Yeah, exactly.
they were like, oh shit, how'd you do that?
Mine was always like Britney Spears would be like, I think I did it again. And then they'll be like, what? I'll be like, it's just Britney.
That's amazing. Hey girl.
What's up, Brit?
So what's coming up for you guys? Like, you have some music coming out?
Well, so I just released my album on Spotify and what's on all media, with Paper Magazine like 5 months ago. So check it out, Margie Plus on all platforms, whatever.
Amazing.
So now it's just about kind of like doing shows, more press stuff. I'm going to be the official host of Ambrose's Slut Walk this year,
Sick.
October
Amazing.
6th, downtown LA, and I'm going to perform some of my new album. So it's just like pumping out.
Yeah, and we've been, shooting some videos.
Yeah, music videos. I've been
Dope.
shooting a couple of music videos that'll release this fall. So
And we've just been recording a pilot.
Oh yeah,
hey.
I know, but we're not supposed to talk about that yet.
Well, they're under
So
contract.
yeah, exactly.
NDA.
So we're up to So we're up to some TV stuff too, which is going to be cool. And
Dope.
I think we're going to be moving to LA from New York. We're going to be a little
Amazing.
music people here. So yeah, that's what we got kind of going on.
Awesome.
I'm glad you didn't say, oh yeah, new single coming out tomorrow, because I feel like
New single coming out tomorrow. Margie Plus, get together. Let's go.
That's what's up. That's what we're just gonna cut that snippet out.
Yeah, I got like
Yeah.
three.
Oh shit.
I got 3
I was
albums.
like, I was here an hour. Like,
Yeah.
why do they only have a 5-minute soundbite of me?
album a
Whatever.
week. Just drop an album a week. There you go.
So where
You're
can everyone
20.
where can everyone find you on socials?
Oh yeah, so mine's Margie Plus, Margie, P to the L to the U to the S, and Harold's at Supervillain Music.
Amazing.
That's a dope name. I
Yeah, I
think
love
a
it.
third time I said that.
It's
Supervillain.
Supervillain. But supervillain.com was taken. So it's
Right.
Supervillain Music online, but yeah, I just go by Supervillain.
Dope.
Dope.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I really
And I can't
appreciate
wait
it.
till all y'all listen to this. You need to hear my album
That's
from
what's
start
up.
to finish.
I know.
We need to
I've
make
listened to
music
some
together.
of it. Yeah, we do.
Brad,
We
I'm
need
gonna
some cook up.
I'm gonna plug you at Bradley HD.
Oh, thank you.
Instagram.
Thank you.
Yes,
And at
Bradley
KDE
HD.
Beats.
Give my guy a follow at Radium_media too.
Yes, and we'll have all this up for you. Everything.
Yes. Basically, follow all of us.
Yes,
'cause
follow
we're
us
dope
all.
as.
Exactly.
Oh,
Thank you guys.
All right.
thank you.